Good morning, Veritas All-Stars. Here is the All-Star Challenge for Friday, June 5th, 2020. Okay, this question came directly from an MCAS prompt. So this one I didn't make up. This came right from MCAS. So this is the type of questions we're going to see on a test like that. Okay, so let's get started. I noticed that there's A, B, and C, so we have to very carefully make sure that we answer A, and then B, and then C. I'm not going to put a B and a C yet because I don't know how long it's going to take for me to answer A. Okay, so let's start with this. Kara is painting flower pots. She uses 1/3 cup of paint for each flower pot. Okay, so each flower pot she paints needs 1/3 cup of paint. Okay, so she's making, I'm gonna just draw a picture. She's making flower pots. They each need 1/3 cup. Okay. Part A. How many cups of paint does Kara use for 2 flower pots? Okay, so I got my 2 flower pots drawn there. How many cups of paint does she use for 2? Show or explain how you got your answer. I'm gonna really make sure that I explain. I'm gonna put a big circle around that. Then part B says, how many cups of paint does Kara use for 12 flower pots? How many cups of paint? Just like this was asking how many cups of paint. So I could put cups, blank cups there, and blank cups here, because it's telling us it wants our answer in cups of paint. Okay, so these are all just little clues that I use to make sure that I end up with the right answer. Okay, how many cups to make 12 flower pots is the second one. Make sure you explain how you got your answer. And then let's see, it gives us a little more information before C. It says, after the flower pots dry, Kara plants seeds in them. She uses 1 3/4 cups of soil to fill each flower pot. C, how many cups of soil will Kara use to fill 12 flower pots? Show or explain how you got your answer. Okay, so she's gonna fill 12 flower pots. How many cups of soil will she need? So I'm gonna write cups of soil here, blank cups of soil. These were cups of paint, and these were cups of paint. Okay, so now that my mind is kind of wrapped around this, I've annotated it and I'm ready to get started working on it. Okay, so she's painting flower pots, 1/3 of a cup of paint for each flower pot, like I drew here. How many cups of paint does Kara need for 2 flower pots? Show or explain how you got your answer. So I drew 2 flower pots. If each one needs 1/3 cup of paint, we have 1/3 plus 1 more third. Okay, 1/3 plus 1/3. Since the denominators are the same, we can just keep the denominator as thirds, right? So let me draw a picture of this. If this was a cup of paint, the whole thing, 1/3 is for the first one, and 1/3 is for the second one. So altogether we have 2/3. So you could have used a visual for that one, or we could just add those 1/3 plus 1/3. Since the pieces are all the same size, right? We can just keep the denominators the same. There's 3 pieces in this hole, and there's 3 pieces in this hole. So that means each piece is the same size. So we keep the denominator the same, and we just do 1 plus 1. 1/3 plus 1/3 is 2/3. So 2/3 cups of paint to do 2 flower pots. So the answer for part A is 2/3 cups of paint. Now, the most important part here is you can't just write 2/3 cups of paint. That is not enough of an answer. It says show or explain how you got your answer. So I'm not going to give you this part. Your job is going to be to make sure that you carefully explain this, and when you submit it in your Google Classroom assignment for today, I will read what you wrote and give you feedback on that. But if you just put 2/3 cups of paint, your answer will get 0 points. So you need to make sure you explain. So all you got to do is tell us what you did. There's 2 cups, each one has 1/3, so I added 1/3 plus 1/3, which gives me 2/3 cups. So you just have to write 1 or 2 sentences to just explain how you got your answer, because you already did the work. You know what you did to do it. You got it right. You need to make sure you explain it very carefully, or you won't get any credit for that. All right, so even if you get 2/3 cups of paint but don't explain, you get 0 points. So really, really carefully. It only takes a minute or 2 to explain how you did that. Okay, now I'm done with A, so I'm going to give myself some space here. Now I can start B here. Okay, B says how many cups of paint I already am ready for cups of paint, does Kara use for 12 flower pots? Show or explain how you got your answer. So if we had 12 flower pots, I always like to draw a model to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. It only takes an extra minute or two. So there's 12 flower pots, 6 plus 6 more makes 12. How many cups of paint does she use for all 12? So if there's 1/3 of a cup to paint each flower pot, 1/3 of a cup for each flower pot. So how much paint is she going to need for all 12? 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3. We can do that. That's going to take us a long time though. We're going to do 12 times 1/3. We have 1/3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 times. So we could just add them. 2/3, 3/3, 4/3, 5/3, 6/3, 7/3, 8/3, 9/3, 10/3, 11/3, 12/3. Then we're going to have to simplify that. But if we multiply, we're going to get the same answer. You can write the denominator of any whole number as a 1 because the denominator tells you how many pieces are in each whole. So for these 12 flower pots, they're all just in one piece, right? They're not cut into pieces. Okay, so you can just write the denominator as a 1 for any whole number. Okay, we're going to multiply the numerators. 12 times 1 is 12, and 1 times 3 is 3. Remember when I just counted up all the thirds, I got 12/3. All we did was multiply 12 times 1/3. We got 12/3. But this is a division problem. 12/3 is 12 divided by 3. Notice that a fraction and the division symbol kind of look the same. There's a reason why. It's a division problem. This divided by this. So it's 12 divided by 3, or what number times 3 gets you to 12? And the answer is 4 cups of paint. Okay? Every 3 makes 1 cup, right? 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, there's 1 cup. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3, there's another cup. That makes 2 cups. 3/3 makes the 3rd cup. 3/3 makes the 4th cup. So now there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cups of paint, which is what we did when we did the multiplication. One more thing I just want to show you, because we've been practicing different strategies for solving these multiplication problems. If we did 12 times 1/3, that's the same thing as 12/3. So what we could have done here was we could have first divided 12 divided by 3, because you can just kind of expand this line here. It's 12 times 1 divided by 3. 3 times 1 could be here, just like when we did the multiplication here. But what you could do is simplify like this. Since multiplication and division are opposite operations, they're the same operation, they just go in a different direction, right? 2 times 4 is 8. 8 divided by 4 is 2, right? It's the same problem. 2 times 4 is 8. So 8 divided by 4 is 2, right? It's just the same thing, just going backwards. Divided, multiplication going this way. Okay, so instead of multiplying and then dividing, we can actually divide, then multiply. So we can divide these both by 3, and then we have 4 times 1, which is 4. And it's 4 over 1, which is the same thing as just 4 wholes. So there's 3 different strategies for getting the answer of 4 cups of paint for part B. Okay, give yourself some snaps if you got that. That was pretty tricky. Nice work. Now I'm out of space here. Now I'm ready for C. Notice how if I put A, B, C right at the beginning, I would have ran out of room. You want to give yourself plenty of space. Okay, now let's go to C. This is the hardest part. After the flower pots dry, Kara plants seeds in them. She uses 1 3/4 cups of soil to fill each flower pot. Okay? How many cups of soil will she use to fill 12 flower pots? Okay, so I can draw my 12 flower pots again. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 12 flower pots. Okay, she's going to put 1 3/4 cups of soil in each flower pot. So each flower pot's going to get 1 3/4 cups. you guys are the all-stars, so you could probably already tell me what operation would be a lot faster than doing this, right? I could do 1 3/4 plus 1 3/4 plus 1 3/4 plus 1 3/4 and do that to all 12 of them. That's going to take me a long time. And there's going to be more of a chance for me to make a simple mistake if I do it like that. So the easiest way to do it would be 1 3/4. How many times do we have 1 3/4 being added together? 12, because there's 12 flower pots. So we're doing 1 3/4 times 12. Now we have not learned how to multiply a mixed number times a whole number. Or we only did maybe 1 or 2 examples with the all-stars. We've learned how to do a fraction times a whole number, but we haven't done a mixed number times a whole number. So what you got to do is actually multiply 12 times 3/4, and you're going to add that to 12 times the whole number, which is 1. So you could break it apart. 12 times the whole number plus 12 times the fraction, right? 12 times the fraction plus 12 times the whole number, and then you'll be able to get the right answer for that, okay? So we can divide here, right? Remember that this is 12 times 3 divided by 4, so we could do the multiplication first and then divide by 4, or we can divide, then multiply times 3. So 4 divided by 4 is 1, 12 divided by 4 is 3, so 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 over 1 is the same thing as 9. So 9 plus 12 times 1 is 12, so 9 plus 12 is 21. So the answer is 21. There's one strategy for doing it. You're going to have to do 12 times the whole number plus 12 times the fraction. That's called the distributive property. This is something we haven't really talked too much about. I know that I taught you guys a little bit about it, but this is, as a school, we haven't talked much about this. But that basically is saying we have to multiply times the whole number and then add it to multiplying that times the fraction as well, right? 12 times 1 plus 12 times 3/4. Then you get 9 plus 12. You end up with 21 cups. But let me give you another way that you could have done it. Another way, since this is hard, doing the distributive property, we haven't practiced it a whole lot. Another way we could have done this was turn this 1 3/4 into an improper fraction. So 1 3/4 is really 7/4. I was wondering what's going on. Charlie's being crazy. So, right, if 1 3/4, let me draw this out. If we have one whole plus 3 more fourths, this is 4/4 in the whole, right? If we have a whole, we have all 4/4 plus the 3 more fourths. 4/4 plus 3/4 is 7/4. Okay, so 1 3/4 is the same thing as 7/4. When I was a kid, I learned it like this. 4 times the whole number is 4 plus the numerator makes 7, and the denominator stays the same as 4. We end up with 7/4. Okay, so all I did was turn 1 3/4, one whole, and 3/4 into 7/4, because there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7/4 all together. And we're going to do that times 12. We can write 12 as a fraction with a 1 in the denominator. We could divide these first if we want, or we can multiply these, then multiply the denominators and then divide. I think it will be easier to do this division, because this is the same thing as 7 times 12 divided by 4 times 1. Okay, so we can simplify these first, or we can multiply, then divide. But it'll be a little faster if we can learn to do it this way. 4 divided by 4 is 1, and 12 divided by 4 is 3. Then we have 7 times 3 is 21. 1 times 1 is 1, and 21 divided by 1 is the same thing as just 21 cups. So we got the same answer either way that we did it. That's probably easier for you now, is to turn this mixed number into an improper fraction and then multiply by 12. But those are two different strategies you could have used for that. The answer is 21 cups of soil. Okay, so A was 2/3 cups of paint, B was 4 cups of paint, and C was 21 cups of soil. Give yourself some snaps. That was a tough problem. Really nice work today, everybody. I hope you all have a great weekend, and we'll see you then. Bye.